Hey mamas, it's Nadine from the Knitting Mamas podcast. Today I'm sharing a little bit about how my morning routine came to be. If you know me just a little, you know that I'm very big on a morning routine as a busy mom because it is my way of centering myself and, starting the day on the right foot. And it actually started when my kids were all still babies. So this is like over 10 years ago. And it kind of started out of a necessity for that me time, which I was never getting because I had two kids in diapers at the same time. And it felt like there was never a break. And I was tired of not even getting a shower in at any time. So early mornings actually became the thing for me that at least got me that for a little while. And over time, I fell in love with getting up early for my me time. So let's talk about how that journey went, what I have learned over the last, I would probably say 14, 15 years maybe of doing this, and where I had to adjust and how that can apply to you and where it can help you as well. Because truth be told, it was not always easy. There were many obstacles in my way and there were many things that I had to learn. And a big one of them is mindset as well. So let's talk about that as well. And let's dive into this episode. Hey there, mama. Welcome to the Knitting Mamas podcast. If you're a mom who's tired of feeling exhausted and longing for some well-deserved self-care and rest, you are in the right place. I know that finding time for yourself as a busy mom can feel like an impossible puzzle. But guess what? You don't have to compromise anymore. Hi, I'm your host, Nadine Medina. And just like you, I am a mom, wife, and also a happy knitter. Over my 15 years of motherhood, I have been on a journey to discover how to truly recharge without the guilt and the never-ending quest for perfection. The secret? It's all about progress, not perfection. By focusing on simple routines, natural wellness solutions, and the cozy art of knitting, I found the path to feeling whole and content. And on this podcast, I am sharing it all with you so you can do the same. Are you ready to find simple solutions to set yourself free from mom guilt, to take more time for yourself to truly rest, and to use your knitting skills for a mindful routine that creates space in your life so you can breathe easier? Let's take a deep breath, grab those knitting needles, and say goodbye to mom stress. Together, we'll create a supportive community that encourages you to prioritize self-care while juggling all your responsibilities. Sound good? Let's do this. So welcome to this episode all about morning routines. So I am not sure if you are in a season where you have tried a morning routine, where you already have a well-established one, or if you're just kind of dabbling in it, wondering if it's for you, figuring it out, or if you're like, look, I have small kids and this is just not working for me. So we're going to talk all about it. First, I want to talk about seasons and how these seasons in motherhood, with having kids, but also in your morning routine really do apply here, and how everything is always changing all the time. So naturally, we have to just adjust everything all the time as well. Like I've said before on a previous podcast, every time we're like, yeah, I think I got this figured out now, it changes on us. So as moms, we are literally constantly adjusting, and we get maybe a couple weeks of feeling that we have some sort of handle on the chaos just for it to change again because our kids are shifting from one season to another, or, just the year shifts from a season to another. We're about to go back to school here, and that's a season change. So yes, everything has to always adjust with it. And we can't, be in this like rigid pattern where it's like, okay, we made this work and this better work forever now or for the next 10 years. And it's just never going to be that way. So as motherhood changes constantly, your morning routine also needs to adjust with it. So if you're completely new to this concept of a morning routine, I do have some episodes where we talk about it as well. And I have some more of them coming in the future where we kind of go through what a morning routine could consist of. But if you're already like, yes, I'm doing this, but it's not quite working, or I'm having like ups and downs and I just don't know what to do about it, let's talk about those, right? So there's days when we pretty much nail it and it's like, yeah, this is working. This is awesome. And of course, there's other time where it's a total struggle and it's a big fail and we're like, oh my gosh, this is never going to work, right? Some days we might get a full morning routine the way we have planned it and it's all serene and amazing. And others, it might just be a shower and then that's it. We just kind of have to roll with it, right? That's really the key. So the bottom line here is work with the season that you're in. And a big part of this is also to change your mindset to where you know that just because something wasn't perfect or went exactly as planned, it was still good enough and it still had its benefits. So for me, on a day where I'm like, okay, didn't hear the alarm or heard the alarm, snoozed 5 times, that happened this morning, and really just got a quick shower in and a 10-minute stretch, that's still a win in my book versus not doing that at all and literally rolling out of bed and just having to start the day or running late somewhere or whatever it might be, right? So even the tiny win that may not even seem like one is still a win. And that's one of the hardest shifts in the mindset, I think, that we need to make. For me, that has always been a big struggle to kind of be okay with that mindset and over practicing that. So I have multiple episodes already on it, and there's some future episodes planned on this mindset piece because it's a huge thing, especially for us moms who feel like we're never enough. What we do is never enough, and taking time for ourselves is just not in the cards because we just feel guilty about it. If you struggle with some of these mindset issues around time for yourself, motherhood, not feeling enough, or something beyond that, you might want to check out episode 29 for some major mindset shifts that you can actually start embracing today. And if you work on those on a daily basis and really tell yourself these things over and over again, you will see a difference. So back to the morning routine. I know that some of you are thinking, but I have little kids. And what if my little kids wake up as soon as I do? Let me just tell you, first of all, I hear you. And I've also been there. I have had times where my kids were sleeping for an extra hour or two after I woke up and I did my morning routine, and it's like bliss. But I've also had times and seasons where 3 kids were immediately awake the moment I put my feet on the ground. And I was like, okay, great, this is not going to work for today. But over the years, I have come up with some creative ideas, and my kids are now older. So at this point, it's like trying to drag them out of bed, which also doesn't make it that much easier because honestly, the longer they sleep, the longer I sleep. So I have days like this morning where I'm like, oh, I still have a couple minutes or a half an hour because no one's awake anyway. And then it turns out I didn't have that much time, and it would have been much nicer for myself to actually get up earlier. But most days I make it happen, even with the teenagers in the house. But I definitely have been in the situation where at least one child wakes up the second I'm awake. I walk downstairs and I'm like, wow, it's so nice. It's so quiet. I pop my headphones in and someone's awake. So let's talk about some creative ideas to still get a little me time, even with your little early risers around. My first tip is just bring them with you and see if they actually want to go back to sleep on the couch. That was definitely one of my biggest tips that I have because that's worked really well for me for all 3 of my kids at one point or another. I would just snuggle them up in a blanket because most times they woke up because I woke up and it was way too early for them anyway. So they were still pretty sleepy, but they heard me and they just wanted to be up with me. So I would snuggle them up in a blanket on the couch, and then I would just meditate right next to them or just on the floor next to them. I would journal, do a couple stretches. It may not be the perfect solution, and you may not get your full morning routine that you had planned done, but it's something. And something here is always better than nothing, and you still feel the benefit of that little morning routine, even though it may not last as long as it would have if people had actually slept in. So my second tip would be meditate while you're still in bed, meaning you may not even make any sounds and your kids might not realize that you're actually awake, but you're just laying in bed, you pop your headphones in and you just do like a quick 5 or 10 minute meditation before you even get out of bed. And that way, at least you get that part in. And then after that, you might apply tip number 1 and see if they're up, you just take them with you, snuggle them up on the couch and see if you can get anything else from your morning routine. If it's journaling or, a little stretching or something else that kind of centers you, that gives you just a few minutes with your thoughts by yourself. In these situations, you might not be able to do a walk, maybe not that early anyway, but I find that a walk later on with your little children, even if you just strap them in the stroller, I think a walk can go a long way because it can calm them down. And they may even go to sleep depending on how little they are. And you can just pop headphones in and do a walking meditation or just, listen to some music if they're sleeping, of course. But even if they're not and you are not able to listen to anything, it will still be super beneficial to take that walk with them together later on during the morning. My third tip would be have them eat breakfast and prepare the breakfast first while you sit next to them and just write in your journal or just have your coffee next to them. And I know, depending on the age, once again, it's not always feasible because it could be chaotic. There could be siblings who are also up and then you might have to get ready for school. I get it. All those things matter. But with a little bit of prep time, maybe have the breakfast ready in the evening. You can make this happen for just a few minutes. And if you're thinking, not in my house, just maybe reshuffle your morning just a little bit and see where you can prepare things ahead of time to where the morning goes a little bit smoother so that you can have those 5 to 10 minutes, even with the little kids. And I know that this does work, maybe not every day, and there may be chaotic mornings, but I know this can happen because my kids they're 16, 15, and 12, but they're very close in age. And there were definitely times when 2 of them were up at a time. And I did make this happen. It wasn't a long morning routine for me. It wasn't necessarily as relaxing as it would be by myself, but it still was something that I was able to do. My last tip for you is to just move your morning routine to a later time. So for example, if your kids are in school age or preschool age, wait until you actually drop them off, then do your morning routine. That way, it may not be the very first thing that you do as you get up, and it's not technically the morning routine, if you will. Your morning routine will consist of, probably doing the dishes and prepping lunches and breakfasts and things like that. But at least you will get that quiet time and it's scheduled in and you're not rushing home, going straight to your chores and whatever else you have to do. So be sure to build that in as your kid either takes a nap or goes to school. And that's what I was going to say earlier. So if they're at school age or preschool age, wait until they're gone for the day. And if they're not, they probably have a nap time relatively soon, 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then you schedule that in and you take 20 to 30 minutes to yourself before you race to do the dishes and do everything else that you feel like you have to do. So here you have it. Some real life practical tips to help you keep your morning routine going, no matter what season of motherhood or life you are in or what season your children might be in. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, I have been in all of those different seasons at this point. They all have their up and down sides. And, some days it'll be really great. Other days it won't be as great. But either way is okay, right? It's not about having a perfect morning routine. It's about finding what works for you and then rolling with the punches like we do for everything else in our journey as moms. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Knitting Mamas podcast. If you have any tips or tricks for morning routines that I didn't mention here or that you would love to share, especially when it comes to a morning routine while you have little kids, I'd love to hear them. So you can drop me a message in our Facebook group or just post in our Facebook group. I would love to welcome you in that community. You can find it under bit.ly/knittingmamas, bit.ly/knittingmamas. I'm going to put the link to that in the show notes so you can go straight there, click on it, and join the community for some deeper discussions of what we talk about in the podcast. And I'm also going to put the episode number 29 that I was talking about earlier into the show notes for your easy listening. Until next time, keep knitting, keep caring for yourselves, and keep being the amazing mom that you are. Talk to you soon. Hey mama, I hope you've soaked up some great ideas from today's episode. Remember, a happy mom makes for a happy fam. If today's chat hit home with you, it would mean the world if you could leave a 5-star written review on iTunes. Your review will help other moms discover our community and embrace guilt-free self-care. Also, if you're scrolling through Instagram, why not snap a screenshot of this episode for your stories? Don't forget to tag me at The Knitting Mamas so that I can shout you out on my page as well. Plus, that way we can stay connected and spread the self-care magic. Oh, and have you heard about our cozy Facebook community? It's a guilt-free zone where we share relaxing routines, essential oils, and knitting adventures, and so much more. Come join us today at bit.ly/knittingmamas and let's unwind together. Until we chat again, take care, Mama. And remember, looking after yourself is not selfish. It's essential for that balanced life. Catch you soon right here on the Knitting Mamas podcast.